Hello everyone, Skids here, and today I am bringing you my special about Dust Survival Simulator, where I wanted to talk about what exactly is Dust, about its gameplay, mechanics, story, and so on. So now let's begin. Now Dust Survival Simulator is basically an overhaul of Fallout New Vegas. Everything that you knew about the vanilla game has been changed, including story, characters, gameplay, mechanics, and the main goal of the Dust is to make game a lot harder. So first off, let's begin with the story and the settings of Dust. Dust takes place around 20 years after New Vegas, where the cloud from Sierra Madre has been released to Mojave, and also, as Ulysses predicted, tunnelers have made their way into the wasteland as well. After this disaster, most of the factions were disbanded, and all that is left in Mojave are hostile survivors, cannibals, and a lot of new monsters, mainly the tunnelers. Now you are not a courier, but you are playing a random bystander that wakes up in an abandoned shack and you have to make up your own story. Now in Dust there is only one objective, and that is to survive, but if you pay attention to your surroundings and read notes that you can find scattered around Wasteland, you can find a few ways on how to escape this hell. Now that we've got settings out of the way, let's take a look at some basics of this mod. Now in Dust Survival Simulator, everything is a lot harder than in vanilla New Vegas. If you keep on the hardcore mode, you will find out that food and water are a lot more scarce, and it is a real challenge not to die just from hydration or from starvation. Now if you will manage to keep yourself alive through that, there are tons of new gameplay changes. In Dust you can find a new damage modifier that lets you absorb a lot less damage, but it also works in opposite way, which means that it is also a lot easier to kill enemies. However, as we all know, enemies have a perfect aim and it is really hard to fight them head on, especially because ammunition and weapons are scarce as well, and it is really hard to find a good weapon, and even if you find one, ammunition for it is going to be really rare and you're gonna have to think twice before using it on someone. Like I experienced many times, sometimes running is a better option than trying to fight. Now when I compare it to vanilla, gameplay in Dust is a lot more tactical. You actually have to use your surroundings to your advantage. It is a lot more important to know where your enemies are located, and you have to try to sneak up on them and use that element of surprise to your advantage, because if you will just try to rush everyone head on, you're gonna die, no matter how skilled or how good your equipment is. Now even if you manage to outsmart your human enemies, you still have to look out for tunnelers. Now they are just as dangerous and crazy as you knew them from the Lonesome Road. They can appear out of nowhere, they usually appear in huge groups. They are really tough and also take a lot of bullets to kill. Worst thing is that they appear basically everywhere other than the main roads, and therefore you have to choose one of two evils. You either stay on the road and face human enemies, or you try to go into wild and get killed by tunnelers. Now you should also prepare to die a lot, and by dying a lot I mean like really fucking a lot. Now even the first enemies I met, which were some human survivors, basically managed to kill me 3 times before I managed to outsmart them, and even after I killed them, suddenly some tunnelers appeared and they ripped me to shreds after that. Another huge part of gameplay is scavenging. You're gonna find yourself searching every cabinet, desk or body for any ammunition, food or water you can find, and basically your main motivation for going into more dangerous territories is a small chance that you will be able to find some new equipment or loot. Now that we've taken a look at some of the basics and the gameplay of this mod, let's take a look at some new enemies and the sanity system. So like I mentioned in the beginning, main factions have been disbanded, except for the NCR, and all of them have been basically divided into small groups like cannibals, tribals or survivors. Now the good thing is that every group is a bit different than the other. For example, tribals mainly attack in groups and they use melee weapons, while cannibals use some homemade weapons and they also try to get you in numbers, while survivors can be encountered in groups or just as lone bandits that have some high caliber gear. And of course there is the NCR, which is as strong as it was in vanilla game, if not stronger, and if you want to take them on, you better be prepared for them. Other than tunnelers, other enemies from different DLCs appear as well, for example ghosts that cannot be killed without the special perk, and so on. Now another thing that ties to the new enemies is the sanity system, which is basically the karma system, but it was remade for Dust. When you begin the game you are sane, and as you progress through it you can either remain sane or you can become insane. Now you can decrease your sanity by eating human meat or by killing some innocent survivors, and you can surprisingly increase your sanity by drinking alcohol. which probably means you basically forget about every bad thing you did before you drank it. Now I personally found that system very interesting, because after you become insane you get some new perks and also some disadvantages, like that your charisma is decreased by 3 along with your intelligence. You can also wake up in random places and you will also see hallucinations, which is very interesting. And yeah, I overall really liked the new sanity system. It really makes you think twice before you kill some innocent survivors. Now of course there are also some new weapons and a p-roll in this mod. Most of the weapons that were included only in DLCs are available as well, along with a lot of new homemade weapons that can be scavenged. So now that we've got most of the information about Dust out of the way, let's take a look at some of the mods that were created specifically for it. Starting off, we have a visual mod called Melancholy Dust EMB. Now as you may have noticed, Dust comes with its own visuals, and if you also want to use some EMB along with it, it is best to use the EMB that was created specifically for it. And for that I recommend Melancholy Dust EMB by Slot. I really don't have much to say about this EMB. I mean, it looks really cool. You may have seen it in the whole video, and I personally think it really fits in with the Dust atmosphere. And even if you don't use Dust, I still think it looks pretty good, and I recommend you to use it if you want to play Dust. The next mod I have for you is also linked to Melancholy Dust EMB, and it is called Menu and Loading Screen Replacer by Ray-D. Now just like the name of this mod says, it replaces all of the loading screen with the Dust themed ones that were taken with Melancholy Dust EMB. So yeah, if you want even your loading screens to be immersed into Dust, then this mod is definitely for you. Next up we have Understone by Pinball Joe. Now this mod adds a new settlement into the Dust. As you know, in Dust there are no settlements in the base game, and all you can see are scattered enemies and different factions that are hostile to you, but with Understone you get at least one safe haven. Now inside of it you can find a few traders, a few NPCs that you can talk to, and if you also download the enhanced version, you can also get 3 new renewable quests that basically allow you to exchange some useless items for more useful ones. For example, you can trade scrap metal for food, trade packs of cigarettes for ammo, and so on. The good thing about Understone is that it really fits into Dust. There are a few nodes scattered around the wasteland that tell about its location, and it is really not easy to find it. So yeah, I personally think that Understone is a very good mod, especially if you want to use your caps and just have at least one safe haven that you can return to in the hostile wasteland. Coming up next we have a mod that spoils the fate of one character in Dust, so if you don't want to get spoiled, just skip ahead to the next mod. It is called Courier Companion for Dust Survival Simulator by ToastedBaby. Now, as you may have noticed, in Dust you don't play as a courier but as a random survivor, but if you wanted to know what happened to the courier, you better go to the tomb that is located in the former Lake Mead. Now in the original Dust, a courier is your enemy and you have to kill him, but with this mod he can instead become your companion. Now he's fully voice acted, and he also has a custom unique dialogue about Dust. Now this courier is modeled exactly after the one you can meet in original Dust, which means he is now a ghoul, has its own custom visual and also a new rifle and armor. So yeah, if you want the courier to not be hostile to you and you want him as your friend and companion, then you should check out this mod. I did like it. Another 2 mods I recommend for you are the Private Property Expired by Multiple and Dust Bug Fixes by EddieK28. Now even though Dust happens 20 years after the events of New Vegas, most of the items still have ownership on them, and Private Property Expired decided to fix that. Now you can sleep on whatever bed you want, and you can also take any items you want without losing your karma or feeling guilty. I personally think this is a really realistic mod because, let's be honest, I think that no one will be returning for their items since most of the people are either crazy cannibals or are dead. So yeah, this mod is definitely a must-have and you should install it if you want to play Dust. And the second one, called Dust Bug Fixes, basically does what the name says, and it fixes a few bugs in Dust. If you want to check the list of bugs it fixes, you can find it on the mod page. Now that we took a look at some of the add-ons for the Dust, there are also some mods that make it a little bit easier. Now my favorite one is Tunnelers Misbehaving by Jokren. Now as you may have noticed, tunnelers are a little bit overpowered and are also biggest threat in Dust, and this mod aims to make it a little bit easier. After you kill a certain amount of them, depending on what version you choose, you can either choose 100, 1000, 15 or 50 tunnelers. They will stop being hostile to you and will no longer attack you, which I personally think is a great challenge, with a very good reward, because let's be honest here, tunnelers are a real pain in the ass, and this is basically the best way to not make them attack without feeling cheap or without cheating. Now another mod that makes Dust a little bit easier is Killable Ghosts by EDK28, which basically allows you to kill ghosts by removing their limbs or their head, which is not possible in the original Dust, and you can only kill ghost people with a special perk, but with this you can do it by just simply hacking their limbs off. And the second one is the Dust Fast Travel by FlyingFish60 that allows you to fast travel, which is disabled in the original version of Dust. And yeah guys, these are basically all the mods that I think are important for you to get in Dust if you either want to enhance it or make it easier. And if you still want to use a few more mods alongside with that, I would recommend Project Nevada, NPC Travel, Stun, and also other few mods that are listed on the Dust mod page, so make sure you check that one out as well. And overall, I have to say that Dust Survival Simulator by NowGreen04 is a great experience, and it was really fun to play. I would recommend it to anyone that feels like vanilla New Vegas is really easy, and for anyone who also wants to try out some new experience with a completely revamped post-apocalyptic world that is fun to play and is also a big challenge. So yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, tell me what you think about it in the comments, subscribe for more Fallout content, and I will see you next time.